All right, this um, video shows you how to evaluate a lease commercial buildings with about different leases. Now, let's see, Shift Control C. These are the lease scenarios, and we have 17 different leases. We could have hundreds of different leases. And then we're just going to see what the effect on IRR and what the real effect on risk is if we use a shorter lease or a longer lease. So if we put shorter leases here, they all expire earlier, and the base case is kind of some long-term and some short-term leases. Now, here's the issue. So this is just a list of the assumed area for the different leases. We might have a really big one that's the anchor lease. I didn't put that in. And then we put different lease rates, whatever. That's just an input. And then the expiration, now since it's red, that expiration, that's what comes from this this file with the index. And then now over here, we started the model way out here. This is called the commercial lease roll model. It starts way out here. Now I don't know. I suppose we could almost, you know, it might be good to put some sort of thing here. I don't know what's going to happen if we do this. Well, look at this. I can't do this. I'm having a horrible day. Really am. If we put a minus here, then I guess we can see that this is where we start. And so we've got a bunch of inputs over here for the different leases. So I don't know. I'm sure there's a better way to set this model up. Now, once we have this, so we can just put, this is matching this one, this date against the start dates. So that's, this is the expiration date. Now, in that expiration date, we can see how much of the lease is on. So this is most of the lease is on, since it's ends off. Most of lease is off. I mean, fraction of month. Okay. And now this is where we could put new leases in. So 0 means it's just going to go to the spot. If we put some probability, we could see, well, what's the probability of getting a new lease? I don't know how useful this is. And then we can say, well, if you're off lease, how many months are you going to be off lease? Now this is index 54, J70. J70 is so we said, well, where is 54? Okay, so we said, okay, well, these different, this is the rental. Now this, and we'll get back to later, this has a Monte Carlo analysis in it, does it? Yeah. Okay, and we put a maximum and minimum price in, and we said, well, look up on the lease, and G34, we said, okay, if the lease rate is low, we're in an idle time period, and if the lease rate is higher, we're in a higher period. So this is how we get the idle time, depending on the lease rate. Okay, so if we happen to have a lower spot price, we get higher idle months, and then we get our new start date is just we take the E date, which starts at I-70, which is the last date. I must have a Monte Carlo going on here, that's why it just changed. And then then we have the after we put this new date in, we get the new lease rate, which can go up and down, and we put the partial rate in, and of course I can't remember exactly what this is, M70. So if M70, if the lease is expired, then we get this. This is just for the first month, and then we get a new rate if it's fixed, or we get a longer one. Now we can make a second lease term and put different lease terms in, and then here's the real trick to this. I use this. Notice that this is a function. On this function, we could make an extraordinarily long if statement, but the first thing we have to test for is if this date is below the first date, and then it's just purely on. Then in this, if it's not a code number 2, here we have a code number 2. That means it's partially on, and then we've got some idle time, and then we've got some. I think this is just the spot. Oh, this is if it's on different leases, I guess. So we can basically get a code number depending on whether you're in the first lease term, the second lease term, the third lease term. That's what I do. And then if you want to look at the, as usual, if you want to look at this, let's find some functions. Okay. And let's press functions. This has all the rest of them. Percent of time. Date percent, which is like the percent of time. I was struggling with that. And then we have some depreciation. Lease codes. So let me see if the date is we need to put the start date and the end date in the model, and then the first expiration, idle time, the second idle time. Okay, and if it's if it's less than the first expiration, and if the start date is less than the first and end date. This is if it's on a partial lease. Then if it's on a second lease, the second idle time, right, and the third lease and the third start. So it's kind of like the percentage of time function. Now once you have this modeled, then what you can do is put the choose, depending on which code number you have. You can choose, well, if it's 1, we take the, I don't know if it would be nicer. If it's 1, we take the first lease. If it's 2, we take H70. Excuse me. That's the first lease still. I wanted a partial lease. So Z70 is... Oh no, H70 is first. Q70 is the partial lease. It's idle time at 0. I'm looking at this. 1, 2, 3, 0. Second lease, 0. Third lease. Okay, so let's look at the second one. Well, okay, I'll put this so we can see it. So what happened on this one? We immediately had a second lease. This is maybe the second one's a little more interesting. So this is the first lease. Well, no, oops. Oh, I thought I did something fancy. I just accidentally pressed that, and then we're on the second lease, and then we've got some idle time, and then we're on the third lease. Then we whatever. So you have to kind of define. It's using some match and indexes, and we need a little bit of a function to put some code numbers in, and then we can get all of this. Now, once you do this, and then you can put, now you get the total revenues, you can put the operating expenses and vary that depending on whether they're idle or not. You can compute the occupancy rate by how many are on lease, and finally put some. This one we just started with assumed construction cost, no fancy S-curves or anything else like this, and then we can get different IRRs, and you can even put some debt in and get some equity cash flows and get some IRRs. So that's it. The trick really is to put these code numbers in, and which maybe I'll do in another video. I'll go kind of from A to Z on that, but then this let's go back to the market lease. This is the we start with the lease rate, which is the market rate, and then we put this is a long formula, excuse me, but we take a percent increase, and we compare it to a maximum. I can't work through this right now, but essentially we're just, if I press F9, that was really interesting.